My name is Neil Gimmon. I am the owner of the Dreamchasers Brewery here in Waxhaw. We just opened up a couple weeks ago, and we're just very glad to be here as part of Waxhaw and want to be a very vibrant member of this community as well now. What we have here is, you see where the magic actually happens. This is our brewery area back here then. This is where overall breweries are. We basically take grains, we take the sugars out of the grains, we heat it up, we add some hops to it all then, and then we go through, we ferment it with yeast, and we basically produce beer from that point then. Okay, so right here we have this what's called the Mashtun. This is what we do, where we put the grains. We usually use 300 to 400 pounds of grain that has been cracked so that we can be able to get water into there to get the sugars out of it then. We put it in here, we added some hot water here, and we let it sit for about an hour or so that the water can extract the grains and the carbohydrates out of the grains, which are going to end up being the beer. We will run it through a couple times here just to make sure that we have constant circulation going through here. And once we get it running very, very clear, we decide that that's the point where we want to be able to ship it over to our boiler, which we will be able to go through and boil up the beer with the hops then. Now this is our boiler through here. We pump through all of the beer out of the mash tun, and we boil this up, and this is where we add the hops into it. So basically we get a lot of sugars going through here then, and then we need to balance it out with hops to make sure that everything is going to be tasting as balanced as possible then. We'll boil it up, and after it's done boiling up, we go through and send it through a whirlpool that's inside here that will take all the pieces of hops that weren't absorbed by the water, and they just deposit it into the center. And then we pump it through here. There's a cold filter in here that takes the water from our cold liquor tank over here and pumps it through with the beer. So you have a layer of beer, you have a layer of cold water, a layer of beer, a layer of cold water, and what happens is the heat transference goes through. It takes the heat from the wort, which is the beer. It's not beer at this point, we call it wort, and it transfers it to the water there. So therefore we have hot water, and we pump it right back into our hot water tank over here, which we then use for the hot water for our next brew then. So from that point, we go through and we ship it off to our fermenters to be able to get the yeast in there and start making some beer. What you see here is our fermenters, where we put the wort into here, and this is what is turned into beer. We have two 20-barrel fermenters and one 10-barrel fermenter. One barrel is about 33 gallons of beer, roughly around that. So we're brewing up 330 gallons of beer here and 660 gallons of beer here. And right now we're brewing up a lot of things because the town of Waxhaw really likes its beer. So we're trying to keep ahead of all that then. What we do is we pump the beer in here from the boiler over there in the cold process then, and we pump it into here. Then we add the yeast into here then, and we have these tubes through here, which if you can hear is bubbling up, and that's the production from the yeast. It produces both carbon dioxide, which we are draining off from here, as well as alcohol. And we control it through just measuring it several times a day to make sure that everything is working properly then. We keep track of it all to see exactly where the temperature changes are. And once we get to the point where we have it to where it tastes good and has the alcohol level that we're looking for in the various different beers then, we will do something that's called a cold crash. We will go through and cold crash this beer. We have two circulating areas of glycol, which is a fruit-based coolant then, and we just pump it up and makes it really cold so that all the yeast will stop and float to the bottom, and from there we will be able to pump it off and put it into our kegs. And from there, we put it into our cooler, we hook it up to our tap system, and we serve the beer. What we have here is we're on the other side of where we have our cooler. After we take up our beer, we put it into our cooler to keep it nice and cool. And we have a whole system back there to be able to connect up to all our taps up here. We have a number of different taps here and the types of beer we're doing. We're doing a number of ales. We'll be getting up into lager soon. But we have several different types of IPAs, pale ales. We have one of my favorites is called the Booty Brew, which is the beer to support the 24 hours of booty for cancer research. So everybody who orders a pint of this a donation will be sent to the 24 hours early. But this is our tap system here. We run glycol through this also to be able to make sure it's as cold as possible, so that when we pour from the beer, there's no point of actually being warm in the process whatsoever. So it's always cold and served very, very fresh to everybody that comes into our restaurant. Please stop by and see us soon. Hi, I'm Neil Gibbon. This is my wife Anita. Welcome to the Dreamchasers Brewery in Waxhaw, North Carolina.
Steve Maher, the mayor. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
This has been a journey. I remember back in December 2014, and you sent me an email saying, how do we get this thing going? And we sat down at that office over the then town hall, the police department, and you actually helped us learn a bit about how we help a business get through the process. I also remember the email, the frantic email as I recall it, where, hey, can we get the street closed? And we didn't have an ordinance in place that would allow that. So we learned along the way as well. But on behalf of the town, welcome. You have been a partner along the way.
Thank you.
You are now going to be a partner in helping us make this a destination. I've already signed up for my Friday, the end of June, 4th Friday class at CrossFit, where we end here after a hard workout, having a beer on Matthew.
Neil and Anita, we are so glad to have you here. The WBA is really glad to have you as members, and we welcome you to the community as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Neil, Anita, congratulations.
Thank you, Gary.
I'm really excited for me because I like craft beer, but also for the town because, like the mayor said, it's one more piece of the great draw that downtown Waxhaw is. And even more than that, yesterday you and I were speaking about how those TVs aren't going to be on that much because this is about community and conversation, and it's a place to be able to hang out, and that's what Waxhaw needs. So we're really excited. Congratulations.
Thanks. Thank you so much.
Welcome to Waxhaw Dreamchasers Brewery. Keep cheering.
It's a left-handed scissors.
That was kind of indicative of the journey it took to open.